before we start Midweek Chill this week, I want to get out of these four walls in Oman. Why don't you take a trip with me through my magic portal and we're going to chill somewhere else wonderful. Let's go! Voilà, mes amis des jeunes de PCO. Nous sommes en Paris. Oh, can you smell the beautiful green grass of spring? And it sure beats being locked down in Oman. Welcome to Midweek Chill in Paris. Even though this is just virtual, I'll show you what it looks like in reality. But it's sure great to be here in Paris for our Midweek Chill with the beautiful, iconic Eiffel Tower. Later on, we will get a photo shoot together, everybody, alright? In this episode of Midweek Chill, we will be talking about third culture kids in things that matter. What are third culture kids, you may be asking? You! Third culture kid is a child or a teenager that is raised and grown up in a culture other than their home country or their nationality. And at the same time, where they are growing up, where they're being raised like you guys here in Oman, you do not adopt the Omani culture because you don't belong to it, even though you've been here for many years. So you don't belong to your home culture, nor do you belong to your current host culture, that means where you're staying. So that's why you're called a third culture kid. And this is a phenomenon that was coined back in the 1950s by a sociologist. And really, the reason being that third culture kids have a very different set of circumstances that shape them presently and also will affect your future. And we will have a special guest. Later, I will bring you along the streets of Paris. We will meet our special guest and talk about third culture kids and how you can benefit from being one. But before that, Pastor Lee's got some wonderful, exciting, rhythmic music to teach us in plus skills. Now, those of you who think that, well, music is not for me, remember what I told you. We need to develop the non-cognitive, the artistic or the creative side of our brains, because that is where it helps you develop your people skills, right? Your schools always teach you on cognitive skills, information, but we need the creative, the musical part, the artistic part, which helps you in your social and people skills. And I trust you will enjoy the rhythmic session with Pastor Lee right now.
Hi PCO Youth, it's glad to see each one of you again through this way. Hi PCO Youth, we are glad to be able back here in plus skill together with you. Are you bored during this lockdown? It's been more than a month. Hi PCO Youth, we are glad to be here again in plus skills. Today we have two special guests with me here. Together we're going to show you something fun. I think over a month in the lockdown, you must be really wondering what to do at home during your free time. So we are giving you some skills that you can do with rhythm. I think not all of us like singing, but we don't mind to play some rhythms to go along with the music. So today I'm going to teach you some clapping rhythms and as well as using card to make rhythms. It's kind of fun, but it needs lots of coordinations and changing of coordinations. So you have a look and see, and you can practice at home. And when we are able to meet again back to the youth sessions time, perhaps we can all do it together in the class. So the first rhythm skills that I'm teaching you is clapping skills. You can also find this clapping rhythm skills a lot in the internet. If you search it up, I just put out a few to show you, to help you to know that even without any expensive gadget at home, you can make music for yourself, for the Lord, and for your family to enjoy it. Okay? These clapping ones comes with 3 coordinations. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to show you together with my 2 beautiful helpers here, the coordination 1, 2, and 3. Are you ready? Okay, so we'll do the coordination 1 together. 1, 2, go. This is coordination 1. Now we're doing coordination 2 together. 1, 2, go. This is coordination 2. And we have coordination 3. Shall we do it together? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, it looks kind of difficult, coordination 3, but I will slow it down and show you step by step later on. So now we would like to show you when you combine these 3 coordination without stop, this is how it will look like. Are you ready? 1, 2, go. See, so this is how it goes for 1, 2, and 3. So with these 3 coordination, you can actually make rhythmic music because all these 3 coordination is come out with the rhythm of 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which means any songs that with 4 rhythm beats, you are able to sing along with the clapping sounds that you make with your hands. Okay, this is how Twinkle Twinkle Little Star will goes like with coordination 1 and 2 together. I won't go through the whole song, but just let you have the feel of how it looks like. Are you ready? 1, 2, go. Twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. So this is how it goes. Okay, for rhythm 1 and 2 is pretty simple. It's 1, 1, 1, clap 1. Rhythm 2 is 1, 2, clap 1. Rhythm 3 is 1, 2, clap 1, 2, 3, clap 1, 2, 3, clap 1. This is rhythm 3. So rhythm 3 is long and with a lot of claps, but it's more excited when you add it into a period phrase where it's a long pause. So I would like to show you 1, 2, and 3 in This Is the Day, the song again. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, go. This is the day that the Lord has made. All the joy and the merry. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be very rejoice. It will goes on, continue on as the song goes. You go coordination 1, 2, and 3. And another coordinations of songs beside 1, 2, 3 that I'm showing you earlier, there's called the breakup coordinations where you mixture of both hands and tables and clapping. It goes like this. So the breakup is also 4-liner. The first one is right hand start first, right hand, clap, then left hand twice, then clap. Then we'll move on to right hand twice, clap twice, left hand clap, and clap once. Then go back to the original, right hand 1, clap, left hand 2, clap. Then end with 1, then you cross your hand, 1 and shout, yay! That's all. So if in the slightly faster motions, it will sound like this. Are you ready? 1, 2, go. So you get the hang of it. You can even combine the coordination 1, 2, 3 with the breakup together. I'm going to show you the whole thing now in one clip. Okay, let's do it together. From 1, 2, 3 to the breakup and the final shot. Okay, ready? 1, 2, go. The whole thing is always go by the beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So with whatever songs you're singing, if you put it in, then that will be the rhythms for the songs. So beside the table, hand clap coordinations, we would like to teach you also the cup coordinations. The cup coordinations will involve clapping hands, table, and the cup together. Okay, CN would like to show you the coordinations that runs the whole things. You can have a look and see, then we will show you it together. Are you ready? Okay, so this is how the cup coordinations of rhythm will sound like. Okay, so as you can see, she's playing on the table very fast. To make it slow for you, it goes like this. Okay, you first clap twice on your hand. 1, 2. Beat on the table 3 times. Doesn't matter which side first. Then you come back, clap 1 time, lift up your cup and put it down. That is the first set that is done. Then the second rhythm will be you clap your hands, pick up your cups, touch your hands, the bottom of cup touch the table, touch back up to your hands climb down, you put your cup down. 1, 2, slow one, 1, 2, go. That's how it goes. So I hope you will enjoy the time together with your family. If you have siblings, that you can do it together with them, practice this together with them, and also if you want to do it with the parents, or you can do it at home in your room by yourself, practice it and learning out. I think it's kind of interesting. So hope you will try it. If you do try it, film it and show it to us. It will be a great encouragement. We can put out your video for the next round. Make it chill. Thank you.
Oh, hi guys, we're back already. I was just getting myself some snaps of the Eiffel Tower. So how did the rhythmic and clapping and all that go? Well, it looks difficult, but you give it a try and you will learn to improve on your rhythmic skills. Follow along with me now. We're going to walk down the streets of Paris and we're going to meet our special guest for the Third Culture Kids in no other place than a Parisian cafe. Together with that, we will have our éclair au chocolat avec café au lait, or something else if you prefer. Come, let's go. Bonsoir, Madame Leena. Enchanté. Well, as you can see, young people, we have the beautiful Madame Leena with us today, and we're so happy that she can join us. And she will be sharing with us about Third Culture Kids, TCK. She herself, having been one growing up as a TCK herself, so she shares from her own experience and of course also from what she has learned since then. What are Third Culture Kids, you may be asking? Third Culture Kid is a child or a teenager that is raised and grown up in a culture other than their home country or their nationality. And at the same time, where they are growing up, where they're being raised like you guys here in Oman, you do not adopt the Omani culture because you don't belong to it, even though you've been here for many years. So you don't belong to your home culture, nor do you belong to your current host culture, that means where you're staying. So that's why you're called a Third Culture Kid. So we're just going to ask Madame Leena a few questions as we drink our cafe au lait and cappuccino or whatever coffee we're having. So Madame Leena, what are the advantages of growing up as a TCK?
One of the main advantages that I have seen and experienced in my life is the exposure to different cultures, different people from different states, different countries, and that has been an amazing opportunity to, be exposed to different cultures, different traditions, to accepting people, being more tolerant of differences, and I think that has been an amazing opportunity for me. Look at it from my perspective, like my experience growing up. I'm from Kerala, a state in India. Had I grown up there, my circle of friends and the world around me would be so different from what I was exposed to, and I would probably never see a world outside that world unless I was probably in college or later. But having grown up in a culture which was had different celebrations, different festivals, people, different colors, different outlook on life, it has given me a bigger perspective of what the world is like.
Could you share with us? Could you share with us at what age did you leave India and where were you growing up as a teenager?
Right. So I left India when I was 4 years old, and I was in Oman till I finished my entire schooling. So my schooling was entirely in Oman, and I've never really had a place which is my home because I've always been I was in India for in a particular state in India for 4 years, and then 12 years out of India in Oman, and then back to India but in a totally different state which had nothing to do with my upbringing. Then worked in another place, another state. So it's been like kind of, here and there, everywhere.
See.
Kind of.
So when you go back to Kerala, you don't find you don't feel that that's home, is it?
I don't really, I don't feel I fit in, because one of the reasons, like when I was growing up, one of the things that set me, my brother and sister apart was the way we spoke our mother tongue. We had an accent when we spoke. We just couldn't roll our tongue the way that the locals would say certain words and phrases. So we'd get laughed at a lot. Of course, we took it in our stride, but right from that to our food patterns. Of course, there are certain typical traditional foods that we like, but there are a lot of those traditional foods that we don't like as well. So then in terms of celebrations, we were not exposed to Indian celebrations so much, because growing up in Oman, we didn't get an opportunity to really be out and celebrate like how you would do back home.
So this leads us to the second question, the challenges. So one of the challenges you mentioned is when you go back home, your country is also not home, and people who are supposed to be your people may laugh and make fun of you. So some of our youth may face that. What advice do you have to help them to overcome this challenge?
So I have rather thought that it's interesting to see what it's like when I'm home. Like, so wherever I am, I want to know what is different, what is nice, what's better there, and just see and appreciate that, and not focus as much on the differences, rather to focus on it, to appreciate it, not to kind of think that, oh, that's different from me, and so I cannot really adjust to that.
That's a good point, I guess, to be not so self-conscious and to take that as an opportunity to discover and explore and learn more. Were there any challenges that you could see affected you into adult life in the way you choose your career path or where you will go? Did you feel a sense of lostness or? The transition from home to college, or when you leave home, like home was wherever parents are. So home was never associated with a place. Though yes, in many ways Oman is my, I feel it as home. I know every nook and corner of Oman. But going back to India, I feel that it was more like, okay, I have to just adapt to this. I have to, adjust to whatever is there. And I think that kind of set a trend where you come to accept it as a part of life. Change is a part of life. Initially, it's a challenge when you have moved, making that first transition out of your parents' purview and out of their umbrella. But then later on, you realize that it is far easier for you to do that, because you keep moving. So you're not really settling, and so you feel that, okay, fine, this is going to pass at some point of time. Let me make the most of these experiences. Get to know people, understand how this culture works, how this, what people think about. So I think I looked at it more from a perspective, let me make the most of where I am and what I'm doing. So would it be right to say that if the youth were open and had the same attitude like you to make the most of it, they would eventually outgrow or overcome the challenges they face as a TCK and in fact become advantageous for them?
Yes, I really honestly believe that it would definitely be so, because the world as we know it is actually becoming smaller in terms of being more connected, and so anywhere in the world you should be able to fit in and move on. It's no longer about, people don't see differences as this is mine, this is, we are global citizens rather than particularly the youth. I feel that they are really more ahead of us, the older generation. And that stands to their advantage, because then they're not close-minded, they're open-minded, they're able to, look at things with a very, transparent or a more open perspective, rather than being close to this. And
did you find in any way your spirituality or your faith helped you to flourish as a TCK? How do you do that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think for me, my faith was a very grounding factor. That was the only commonality I had. To be honest with you, that was a tie. That was like, kind of a bonding. It was a bonding that I could easily make, in the sense that I studied in a Christian college. So I felt that though my friends were all from different backgrounds or different states in India, and I never knew what, probably they ate differently for breakfast, they dressed differently, but the common factor was Jesus, and that really made a big difference. So we could pray together. We could, we had the same Bible, so that was like something in common, and it's that's something we shared. So I think that made a big difference, and it's also the fact that I think one of the best parts about the faith is that you realize that heaven is going to be like this. So when heaven's not going to be all the same kind, the same type of people, the same denomination. The sooner we realize that heaven's going to be made of people who are different from us, not just the way they look, the way they behave, the way they talk, the way they sing, the way they worship. It kind of gives us a beautiful picture of what heaven is like.
Amen, amen. So I guess the PCO youth, they can really benefit by meeting every Friday or every weekly together, because it's a commonality where we are together. But what about this? If there is a youth who says, I don't like being a TCK, it's not fair for being put into a life my parents chose. They chose to work as an expatriate. I didn't choose that. And the person is getting, upset and having resentment and negative feelings. What advice do you have for a youth who feels this way?
Right. I think I kind of, have felt a bit like that at times when, especially when you feel that you don't fit in anywhere. But one of the, as an adult, now that I'm an adult, I realize that, adults have to make a lot of decisions, which, children and youth cannot really understand. And those decisions revolve around jobs, revolve around being able to provide for their family, about opportunities for their job or career. So these are all decisions, are tough decisions, not easy decisions that adults have to make. But I'm sure that most adults, or almost every good parent, will want what is best for their child. So if there is a reason that they've moved out from your hometown, there is a reason. It is to probably give you a better life or to give you better opportunities. It's better prospects or an adventure or a different experience. And as adults, I think adults have a lot more responsibilities, and I think it's those responsibilities in terms of providing for a family, caring for their own. So those make it very hard. That forces us to make those hard decisions.
Right. So it's important that youth understand that adults have a very different set of responsibilities, and sometimes it necessitates them to leave their home country or the place and to get a job. And as you say, are the better prospects for their future of their children, because they're saving up money for their children, for the children's education. And as you said earlier on, there's actually a lot of advantages for the child who grows up in a foreign culture, much more open, and will be able to face life much better as an adult because of their global citizenship, I guess. Yeah. So I guess the last question then would be, when I become an adult, where should I go? Some of these youths are asking, back to my home country? Well, I don't feel that's my home. Or should I remain here in Oman? I don't know how long, I should be here, how long with this Omanization and all that. Or do I go elsewhere? How do I decide? How did you decide, Leena?
So for me, I really didn't have a choice when I finished my schooling. You had to leave Oman because as expatriates, we didn't have a choice. So today there are choices of, you can study higher degrees here. But when I finished my schooling, I didn't have that choice. So it was either India or abroad. And in our particular family situation, I had to go back to India. And so, and it was a course of my choice. Like, I was looking for courses which I wanted to study. And that's how I landed up doing engineering and being in a college in India. uh, it was kind of hard to not have, to be very honest, it was hard to not have parents, as your local guardians, and so you don't have anybody to come and visit you. You don't really. I used to go to my grandparents' place. So there are a lot of adjustments, and that I had to make. But I would say that when you reach that stage, I think when youth reach that stage, time has a way of revealing what is what you need to do, and you would be guided by what you have a desire to do, or what your heart is calling you to do, or where you have a calling for. So if you feel that my hometown is where I should be, then that's where you should be. But if you feel that there's some other place, or there's I need to gain a higher degree in this particular place, or I need to live and work in a particular place, I would say that that calling that you hear within you, where God leads you, is the best place for you. Because sometimes in our limited, not sometimes, I think always, in our limited wisdom, we don't really we can't really understand the future. We're all anxious to have that path all set out before us, but it doesn't really go the way we always want it to. And I think it is, just maybe my life experience that I have seen that God has a perfect plan in whatever He does. So I can trust an unknown future to a known God. So I think that's a comforting thought. Though I must accept that as a human being, I get worried, and I think even as an adult, I think, what next? Where will I be next? Not just so I can totally understand what the children or youth are feeling, but that's where our hope and our strength comes from in God. That though I don't know, and I may be worried as a human, but God has the best for me.
So do the youth well to stay close to God and not to worry too much, but when the time comes, as they develop, as they mature, the path will be revealed bit by bit. I guess it's also really very different, the lifestyle today compared to back home. Back home, everyone expects you to get married, settle down, have a house, and that's where you will live until you die, until you get old age and you die. But I think these days, people are having new options where they may spend 5 years here, 10 years there, and never really own a home, maybe even just renting places. And I think that's just a different lifestyle, acceptable if that's what you are comfortable with. And I guess, as what you say, most importantly, as the Lord guides you, as the Lord shows you the direction.
I was just, I thought, I should share one small incident, which as a third culture kid, that is a very funny memory and made us laugh a lot. So this happened with my sister. Having grown up in Oman, we've never had loud celebrations, particularly when we were growing. So there's no firecrackers, and it's only National Day. At a distance, we see those fireworks in the sky, but you don't actually burn. You see crackers or anything like that. So I still remember that when my sister first moved back to India. So it was one of those, Diwali celebrations, and everybody's. So she had never seen a Diwali celebration earlier. So she and my grandmom went to bed early, and suddenly, she hears all this loud noises, like somebody's banging on the door. She got really worried and called out to our neighbor, saying somebody's, there's a burglar, there's, some robbery happening. And then they came in, and at midnight they came in and they said, no, you know what, it's Diwali, these are just firecrackers. They just, they had a good laugh. She had a good laugh. But it was it was something. So they found it very strange that we had never seen firecrackers. But that's just when we just laugh at those experiences, and then just take it as it comes.
Yes.
Everybody
so it's good to laugh it off, right? To don't take things too seriously, be more relaxed and enjoy yourself. Well, I think that's all the time we have, Madame Leena. We have to leave this Parisian cafe. So thank you very much for your time, and God bless you. So young people, I will see you back let's see, where am I supposed to go after this? I am supposed to go back to Oman. I will go through the magic portal and see you out there. Take care, God bless you. Au revoir. Bye bye. On a retourné chez moi. It's good to get rid of my moustache. I really don't like the moustache. Well, I hope you enjoy yourself at Midweek Chill in Paris. Next week, join us again. We will be going over to the Bahamas. Or maybe if you prefer somewhere else, just leave a comment or text me and tell me where you would like to go, and we will go on another virtual journey. And next week on Things That Matter, we will talk about ambitions. How to decide what do you want to do with life, with parents, with people telling us what to do. How do we make a decision? So join us next week. Till then, stay safe and stay well. God bless you, young people. Take care.